Hello, folks, and welcome to a special edition of the Save or Die podcast. We're going to call this a side adventure, and we're going to spend some time because we got a flood of emails coming into our mailbag. So many that the cauldron overflowed, so we had to get some maintenance in, and the little goblins came in and cleaned up and handed Liz all what was left over. And, by the way, if you're just listening to this for the first time, I'm DM Vince, and we have DM Liz in the background who's about to say something. Hi, Liz.
Hello.
And then quietly in the background, waiting to speak, is DM Mike.
You know, the smell is still in here, even after they cleaned it up.
That's the goblins.
Oh, okay. I wonder what that was.
Yeah, they kind of left a little something behind.
Ew.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway.
So let's reach into the soggy mess there and go for the first email.
Okay. Well, our first letter is from Joshua Scherer, also known as Julian Grimm on the various message forums.
Yay.
Hi, Julian.
He says, after hearing your talk on doppelgangers, I wanted to share how I used one once. I chose a PC that would be the victim of the monster and let the player play normally. Then, when the time was right, interrupted a combat with the declaration that the doppelganger changes form and attacked a fellow member. The horrified looks on all the players' faces was worth the grief I got for an unfair killing.
Aw, boo-hoo.
On the one hand, it's not quite the subtlety that's described in the monster manual. On the other, you've got that great scene of, two PCs fighting each other. Which one's the real one?
Yeah.
So, that is a possible trick.
Yeah, it's a good way to totally get the drop on your party members.
Yeah, because they don't know which one, and
Yeah.
that one survived. Maybe he's the right one, maybe not.
Yeah, and you don't have the problem of taking someone aside to tell them that, oh, you're really a doppelganger, and tipping off the rest of the people at the table that something's going on. Like, nobody knows what's going on.
So he let his player continue playing his character normally, and then interrupted combat by saying, by the way, your character's no longer existing, you're now a doppelganger, is what he's saying?
That's what it sounds like to me.
I got the impression that the doppelganger attacked him after shapeshifting to look like the character. And then you've got basically two copies of the character fighting. But I could be wrong.
Well, it says I chose a PC that would be a victim of the monster and let the player play normally. So I'm saying that he must have decided that this player's character was now a doppelganger?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Huh.
Then when the time was
Okay.
right, interrupted a combat with the declaration that the doppelganger changes form and attacks a fellow member. So basically he was saying your character...
Okay, yeah, my mistake.
Your character's marked and became a doppelganger when you didn't know about it, and then, haha.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that does do it. But yeah, like he said at the grief, getting for an unfair kill. Yeah, that certainly takes care of the problem. I do think that would, if you did that more than once in a blue moon, I think your players would get really annoyed.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's kind of... as evil DM as I am, I think that's kind of unfair in a way.
Yeah, well, most players are going to want their roles. Even if it's, virtually impossible, like a first-level magic user getting ambushed by the doppelganger, they want their role. So, yeah, I would probably try to avoid that unless it was really, like I said, rare.
Well, unless he did the old roll D20, had to play a roll D20, and they didn't know what they were rolling for, and then he decided if he rolls below this, boom, his character got swiped away when you weren't watching, and got knocked
it's like
out.
You got your roll. You just didn't know what you were rolling for.
I could see doing
That's
that.
true. And if the initial attack did enough hit points of damage, then literally he wouldn't have known what hit him.
But he doesn't say that, so we really don't know. Maybe if you want to write in and tell us a little bit more about that, because while it's a cool setup and everything, it kind of leans towards the unfair in my book. I have to agree with the unfair.
Well, A possible way that you could get around that would be if you, say, contacted the player outside of the game night and said, hey, this is something I'm wanting to do. Are you cool with it? Especially if you know someone who's been getting tired of playing the character that they are and has made some noises about wanting to roll up a new one. It's like, well, you want a new character. Here's a way to get rid of the one that you don't really like anymore. Are you up for it?
Yeah, but if you're, say you're at 4th level or 5th level, how many people in basic D&D are going to say, I think I'll just start over?
Well, if you're new, I was going to say, if you're new to the game and you thought that a certain character type would be really cool, and then after you rolled it up, you found out that this doesn't play the way that I thought it was going to. I wish that I'd made, something else instead.
Meh. I don't know. I don't think I'd be too willing to drop my character at that point. Especially, it takes such a long time to get to certain levels, so.
And I think you would have to be sure that that particular player would be willing to keep it from his fellow party members. That'd be my only concern.
Yeah, you'd have to trust him.
Yeah. Those players can't be trusted.
Mm.
Yeah.
That by the way, was from PC, Liz, not DM.
That's right.
Okay, so thanks, Josh. Write in again, maybe with some more setup for the scenario, so we can, kind of look at it differently. Because I'm looking at it unfairly at this point. I don't know what the rest of you guys, but
I think it's cool, but I don't think I'd do it more than once.
That's where I'm going down. Otherwise, I think my players would lynch me.
All right.
So.
Okay, our next email is from Dallas.
Really? Dallas? Texas?
The whole city.
The whole city wrote in? Awesome. Welcome,
That's
Dallas.
what it says. Dallas says, I'm listening to Adventure 6. You're currently discussing the value worth of gold and how to use it in your adventure as a topic for a subsequent Sodcast.
That's awesome. We're not a podcast, we're a Sodcast.
Woohoo!
Oh, we just lost our British listeners.
Yeah, well.
Or we gained a whole bunch more, depending.
Nah, they could sod off. Go on, next.
Okay. A recent Wizards of the Coast D&D podcast, August 12th, Gen Con Dark Sun, came to mind at that moment. Disclaimer, I've never played any TETSNBN edition. Everyone relax.
The edition that shall not be named.
The podcast discusses a new game mechanic called Favor. Favor is a promise of aid, services, resources, etc., given as a reward to a party by a powerful NPC or group, and is represented with a gold piece equivalent. For example, the party rescues the king's advisor, and they are rewarded with the king's favor. The DM thinks that 8,000 gold pieces is a good measure of the king's gratitude. This might be redeemed over time in the form of war horses from the king's stables, sumptuous lodgings, the ear of an important NPC, etc. If the PCs use up all their credit, that might mean, in role-playing terms, that the party's constant requests are getting tiresome, or perhaps the ruler can no longer sponsor the party for political or diplomatic reasons. In my mind, this opens up a whole new currency. Favor might be spent as an investment, networking with important nobles, merchants, etc. The return may be realized as adventuring opportunities to earn a greater amount of treasure, or even more favor. And he gives a link that you can go to for more information about it.
But we won't publish that because we don't care. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, I suppose we could drop that onto the website. And it says, I thought this simple concept is brilliant and adaptable to any game system.
Okay. First of all, we've been doing that for, 30 years? So it's not a new thing, this favor thing. I've used this in many ways. So Wizards of the Coast, you're not making up anything new. I'm sure any grognard out there would be like, I think we've been doing that already. I don't know about you, Mike or Liz. I've done this plenty of times.
Well, I did not ever use it as a quote-unquote game mechanic.
Yeah.
With the, saying, instead of giving them gold, I'm going to give them X number of gold pieces worth of favor. At most, I would say I used it rather fast and loose in purely role-playing terms.
Yeah, yeah.
They got favor. They had no idea how much favor they were going to get. It was, totally a mystery to the players what
Right. They
were
had
going
to basically
get.
press the boundaries to see how much they could get away with. This sounds like it's more of a codified, my favor is worth X.
Yeah.
So I know I can ask for this, but I can't ask for more.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, players feel more like they, it's like a gold piece award. They have more of an idea of what they've earned. On the other, I'm not sure I like the idea of the players actually knowing that.
Here's a real shocker for you. Take a look at World of Warcraft, and you might see this.
World of
I don't play
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. It costs money.
Yeah.
And we're cheap.
Take a look at any online massive online RPG, and they all have this favor.
Urban Dead doesn't.
All right, maybe Urban Dead doesn't, but most of them do. All right, Dungeons and Dragons Online has it. World of Warcraft has it. EverQuest has it. They all have this type of favor. You have to build up, and once you get it, you get certain things from the kingdom or from people selling stuff. This is not new, Wizards of the Coast. Try something original. I'm done.
Obviously, it was new to this guy.
Well, it's new to him, yeah, but not new to Wizards of the Coast, because they're pulling it out as a new mechanic. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of favor. I don't think I would use it specifically as a game mechanic. But if there are people who aren't using the concept in their games, I would say give it a try. It could add all kinds of cool stuff to your campaigns.
Especially if you've got a hack and slash type player group and you're trying to get them a bit more into role playing. It sounds like that might be a way to baby step them into it.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
What about
yes.
Bob? Thank you, City of Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is from Nate.
Hi, Nate.
Nate says, "Hi, Vince, Mike, and Liz. Just wanted to say I've been working through the casts and have been enjoying them a lot. I did have a couple questions regarding Swords and Wizardry and Labyrinth Lord that I wanted to get your opinion on. What are the intrinsic differences between these two systems, and which would be a better fit for someone who has never played classic D&D before? I would like to try running a classic D&D game, but the bulk of my gaming experience falls within the 3.5 rule set. Also, the people I play with are avid 3.5 supporters.
Yikes.
Is there anything you can recommend to persuade them to try classic D&D? Thanks, and keep up the good work. Nate."
Well, first I would probably take them and punch them each in the face. No, I'm sorry. That's a big open question, classic D&D. That really narrows down nothing, but that's like our podcast.
Vince is having a bad hair day.
Yeah, right?
Well, I would say, it sounds to me like, which rule set do you think would be an easier transition for someone who's primarily used to playing 3.5? Something that won't be so much of a system shock to them.
Oh, hate to break it to you, either one of them is going to be a real system shock.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Swords and Wizardry has the Ascending Armor class
Yeah.
as part of it. On the other hand, Labyrinth Lord has more of the, I hesitate to say fiddly bits, but, little player advantages to, their classes are a bit more detailed in what they can and can't do than in base sword and of course I'm talking about Swords of Wizardry White Box. I mean,
Yeah.
there's Swords of Wizardry White Box, there's Swords of Wizardry Core,
And then
soon to be
complete.
Yeah. So
Maybe he should look at Castles and Crusades.
maybe.
I was thinking that myself, but it's like we're talking about classic, though, and CNC, while
Isn't-
it does have a lot of 3.0, 3.5 crossover in its rules system is really more of a first edition game than a classic. But I think it would be a smoother transition.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be an easier transition to get them into old school games because it's more like the games they're used to, but it has that, older school game feeling to it.
Yeah.
If we had to vote, I would say Labyrinth Lord over S&W, honestly.
If you're talking white box, yeah, I'd have to agree. I don't know enough about the core yet to say one way or the other, but yeah, I would probably say Labyrinth Lord.
Of the two, I would say Labyrinth Lord as well. LL wins.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest one out of the... I like Sword and Wizardry, but I think that Labyrinth Lord it's easier to read, and it just it flows better than S&W does. S&W is a good game in itself, but I think it tries too hard to not hit the copyrights, so it's kind of rewording itself weirdly in certain places, if you understand what I'm saying.
I think also Swords and Wizardry works really hard at being bare bones. And that's great, for the right DM, but if these guys are coming from the edition that shall not be named, they're going to want bells and whistles. I can't help but think. So I think of the two, Labyrinth Lord has more of those.
That's true. It does have the advanced companion, and it has whatever. I think there's something else you can add on to it too.
Yeah, or even just the core classes have more capacities, and the attribute bonuses go up much higher than in Swords and Wizardry. So I would vote Labyrinth Lord. With no offense to the Swords and Wizardry guys. I think Swords and Wizardry is great.
Oh, like I said, it's great. I just, like you said, it's too bare-boned and too,
Yeah.
Yeah, once these guys get used to playing Labyrinth Lord for a while, you could probably move them into Swords and Wizardry if you decided that you wanted to do that rule set instead.
Yeah, kind of a 3-step program. Castles and Crusades, Labyrinth Lord, and then to Swords and Wizardry.
Do this. Pick up the 3.0 book, play that for a little while, and then don't pick up second edition at all because you don't want to bother with that. Look at the first edition book, but then head over to the Menser books and play that. There. Solved.
Well, I hope that helped you out, Nate.
As he's probably more confused and annoyed now.
It's like, I'm never asking them anything again.
What about the Moltzer copy?
That's still being published. I'm talking to Frank Metzer and the Ghost of Tom Mulvey. I don't know.
Yeah, Ouija boarding Tom Mulvey.
Yeah, he said he's fine.
That's good.
Yeah. So thanks, Nate.
Okay. Next one is from Aaron Ament, and he writes, SODP, which I assume is short for Save or Die People.
Podcast?
Yeah, could be podcast. If your name used atrophy versus die, you could use the acronym SOAP. Anyway, my real question or topic was on character sheets. When I started playing using the Red Box, our group could not afford copies or buying character sheets, and we designed some crazy sheets to record all our stats on. Have you seen any interesting character sheets or designs that you really think fit the spirit of the classic game? Great show, Aaron.
Well, first of all, I have to say you are correct. It is a great show. Thank you. And
he says in all humility.
Yes. I'm going to have to say for character sheets, Dragon's Foot has a pretty good one for basic, but I think it's the copy of the standard one that's on the back of the Menser books, right?
One of them is. I think they've got several. One that I think either is or used to be over at Dragon's Foot was, and I thought this was great, it was a basic expert character sheet that was printed to look like it was on lined notebook paper.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
And I that's like, okay, now that is classic right there. That's brilliant.
You know, the best character sheet was an index card?
Yeah. That may have been for Swords and Wizardry, but I think somebody did a sheet that was basically made to fit on a 3x5 card.
Yeah, I think it was Sword and Wizardry that did that, or someone in Dragonsfoot did that. But that's what
Yeah.
we used when we played. We used an index card.
And
Yeah.
weren't there some games or modules that were produced specifically for tournament play that had the character stats on one of the back pages, and you could photocopy and cut them out, and they were basically the size of index cards?
I think so.
Oh yeah, that Judges Guild module, the Dragon Crown, those were exactly the right size for index cards.
Very interesting. And you can also always go to the wonderful site of the mad-irishman.net. He has some great sheets on there. I think he has some classic sheets on there. I've seen a whole bunch of different ones for D&D. Take a look at his site, mad-irishman.net. If he doesn't have it, you can probably email and ask him, and I'm pretty sure he'll make it for you. A lot of good sheets.
I forgot. Aaron has a P.S. at the end of his email. He says, P.S. As an homage to E. Gary Gygax, I got my custom license plate as GYGAX. I could not believe it was available. That's pretty
Okay.
cool.
I now seethe. I seethe with envy.
While I love Gary for what he's done, and I think he's an awesome guy, and I praise him, I don't think I want a license plate with his name on it. I don't know about that. There's only so much of a geekitude I would go to, and me having a Gygax license plate, I don't know.
Sorry, I would.
Yeah, but you're a big dork.
I
so.
would. Yeah, well,
The very first car I ever drove was this really old, dark blue Cadillac sedan, 4-door. And I had always wanted to be able to afford to get a custom plate for it that said TARDIS, because it was blue like the TARDIS, and I thought that would be incredibly cool. But I never had the money to do it, and for all I know, it's taken. But if anyone wants to try it out, they might be able to get one. Who knows?
Nice.
did it make the sound whenever you crank the engine? That
Well, it
sick
did make-
noise?
It did make all kinds of sounds. Nothing that sounded quite that ill, but
I don't know.
All right, we're geeking out on Vince here. We better.
All right.
Why don't we just talk about Doctor Who while we're at it, okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we. Anyway,
Okay. Mark Kinney writes,
Hi, Mark.
"Hey guys,
Oh.
thanks for the mention in Adventure Number 6. That was incredibly cool, and I'm glad you're enjoying the show. And no worries, since I'm caught up, I won't have to mainline it anymore.
Wait,
Between
he's glad we're enjoying the show?
he's from All Games Considered.
Oh, okay, that's right. I didn't
We
recognize the
actually
name.
got a mention in their podcast, which was really cool.
I didn't recognize
Thanks.
his name. Oh, cool.
Anyway, he goes on to say, between this and RFI, though, I'm getting the renewed itch to run something dungeon crawlish. Hopefully I can find time in the future. Thanks again, and keep up the good work. Mark Kinney, All Games Considered, www.agcpodcast.info.
Who's RFI?
I have a feeling it's something to do with First Edition.
Oh,
Radio Free International. That's it.
okay. I never heard of RFI before.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
I was kind of confused.
That's your evil twin.
Probably. Mark, you want to write in and tell us what RFI? No, I'm just kidding. Well, we're glad that you are enjoying our show as well. We're enjoying your show. Thanks for the mention again, and thanks for emailing us. That's really cool. I hope you do run something. If you do, email us. I want to hear what you have to say. And maybe you put it on your show so we can listen to what you've done.
Yeah,
Wow,
rolls are good.
yeah. Do we have more email?
We do. We are
Wow.
not done yet. Our next letter is from Andrew.
Yo, Drew.
And he says, "Hi, folks. Pretty cool hearing my last post read. Again, thanks for the great podcast. Keep them coming, please. Would you consider reviewing more classic modules, please?
No.
Not so much what they contain, but a quick synopsis and then your experiences running them, assuming you did. It is always interesting to hear how others played these modules and what they thought of them. My favorite is X8, Drums on Firetop Mountain. It's a fun module and the first one I ever obtained. Still no idea how. Must have bought it somewhere. Did you play it? What did you think? Cheers, Andrew.
Maybe he stole it like I did.
Yeah. Thieves. Actually, he mentions the one X module I don't have.
Ha ha.
Gloater.
Loading. I want the module.
Well,
But actually, we might very well be doing that for Products of Your Imagination, because after the upcoming review of BB1 from Thorkammer, I don't think we have any new modules to review, so we may be going back to review classics.
I like the idea of reviewing, just giving a quick overview. I know they've been out there for 30 years, but still some people haven't read them ever, and if they hear us talk about it, maybe they'll go, cool, and they'll go buy it off RPG Now or wherever you can buy them from.
Yeah.
Or pirate them, I don't know. Oops, did I say that?
You still have a pretty good chance of getting some at used bookstores.
Or Amazon, or that sort of
as
thing.
much as you can pirate stuff and stuff like that, and I don't condone pirating at all.
Arr.
Yar, which is, what? Isn't Speak Pirate Day coming up on the 22nd of this month?
The 19th. So, as of when we're recording this, Talk Like a Pirate Day is tomorrow.
Yar, mateys, this be the Sod Podcast.
Avast!
Yeah.
Ye hearties.
I always like going to like an old used book swap shop and then asking the guy what the Dungeons and Dragons stuff is, and he points at the back corner with all the dust that nobody goes to. And as you make your way through the cobwebs and you go back there and you pull out like an old module and it's like $1.
Yeah.
Or he's selling them for like $4 for $1 because nobody wants them.
Yeah, there's a used bookstore here in Denton called Recycled Books. They've got this huge corner shelves full of gaming stuff, and you cannot find first edition or basic expert stuff there anymore.
Because you bought it all?
It all starts at second edition.
Oh. I was going to say because you bought it all.
Well, there used to be a pretty good, selection of first edition stuff there, but over the years, you've seen less and less of it showing up on the shelves, and now
Basic
it's very
was always-
rare.
Yeah, basic was always rare, but now it's non-existent. You just can't find anything there anymore.
Oh, there used to be
Mountains of everything else.
There used to be about 12 copies of Isle of Dread that you could buy there. And now they're pretty much all gone.
Someone probably wouldn't have bought them.
Yeah, I mean, which to me says that there's a demand for them, which is good. Good stuff.
I think the best thing was when I walked into... I don't know if you have Goodwill stores over there in Denton, Texas, but we have them here in PA.
Yeah.
I walked into one, and they have a pretty big book selection, and I didn't look through the whole entire section, but I walk up to the counter where the guy was doing the books, and I was like, you don't happen to have any Dungeons & Dragons stuff, do you? And the guy looked at me, he goes, you know what? We just got a box in. And he pulled up a box, and it was all, like, old modules.
Ooh.
Sweet.
So it hadn't even made it onto the shelves yet?
No, he was like, oh, I was just going to have to put it out. No one ever buys this crap. I was like, excuse me? Crap?
Well, in that case,
it's
can I
absolute
have
crap.
it?
It's absolute crap. So how much for the whole box? What, $1, $2? It's
Well,
crap.
there was basically, it was a small box. It had 10 of it had some second edition, bleh, and it had a lot of the first edition modules and the basic modules in there. I didn't actually look through them all. I just gave him $10 and he gave me the box.
And then Vince raced to the car before someone could change their mind.
Well, of course I did. And then I gave all the second edition stuff to my friend because, I don't know, I might get hurt if those things are in the house because they're really heavy book weights and, you trip over those things.
Could fall off the shelf and put an eye out or something.
Yeah, you never know. Those books are dangerous.
Indeed.
See how many minds they warped over the 80s? Well, I should say 90s, but...
90s. Remember, without eternal vigilance, it can happen here.
Yes. And knowing's half the battle. So...
So,
Oh, yeah. I never played X8 at all. Back on topic.
yeah.
Neither have I.
I don't even think I might have read it once, but I don't really remember it at all. Do you guys remember it?
Oh. No, like I said, it's a one module I never got. It's like I got X1 through X7, then 9 to 13, and that's it.
Yeah,
So-
I only ever played the low number X modules,
Yeah,
like Isle of Dread. Although, actually, I think that was a higher number, wasn't it?
wasn't it
Wasn't
12?
it like...
No, Isle of Dread is X1.
Okay, I remember there being a 1 in there. So was that X11? It's like, no, X1. Yeah, Isle of Dread.
You know,
Whee.
speaking of which, the lettering system with these modules, where the heck did they come up with most of the lettering system?
I will assume the X stood for expert.
All right.
But that's just a total
Yeah.
guess on my part.
Is that how they did it? Because I never really understood some of the letters that they used, like the N's and things like that. How did those work?
I think they were just trying to go, okay, what letters are left? I don't know. I mean,
Well, Q for Queen of the Demon Web Pits.
yeah,
I
G
think
for yeah. But the
D
B
for Descent.
B for basic.
Okay, I understood B for basic.
CM for companion, because I think C had already been used for AD&D modules. The competition modules were C's, so they
Didn't
did
they use
CM.
Didn't they use T for tournament modules?
Maybe.
T for Temple of Elemental Evil.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so and the M for the Master series, and I guess I for Immortals.
Okay.
Trying to think, did I ever look at any Immortals modules?
I think I have one.
I remember one called Into the Maelstrom, but I don't remember what its letter significant. Is that an
I don't know.
M? That may have been a C companion or an M. Oh well. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we can't help you with that module. On the other hand, if you'd like to email in something about the module, maybe we'll read it on the show.
Or if you'd like to do your own audio clip, we'll play it on the show.
There you go.
Just open up your local Windows recorder, record your nice snappy voice, and then translate it into an MP3 and send it to saveordiepodcast@gmail.com. Sorry. What? Did I got it right?
No, the idea of getting an X8 review.
Oh.
Yeah.
And yes, I like the idea of doing more reviews. We'll do it. Don't worry about it. And we'll give you our synopsis, and maybe people will use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yay. Our next email is again from Andrew.
Oh, well, Andrew is just really getting out there.
He says, "Hello again.
Hi.
I am
Hi.
thinking of letting magic users cast spells without preparing them first, as sorcerers do in later editions. I don't foresee any major imbalances as a result, but it will open up the use of spells one might otherwise skip in favor of magic missile, sleep, or fireball. I would love to hear your thoughts. Cheers, Andrew." Well, I've, in the past, not in BASIC, but in 1E games, I've done spell points, basic, where you have a number of spell points and then you use them to cast whatever level spells you're capable of casting until you run out. Never have done anything like that in a BASIC game before, though.
My problem with it would be part of the point of playing a magic user or cleric, to me, is learning the judicious choice of spells in a given day. That's part of the game. Part of the skill of the game is learning how to choose the right combination. And to me, that kind of would take away from that to a degree. Plus, in Basic Expert, I mean, scrolls are only 100 gold pieces of scroll per level, so, if your wizard really has worries about not having enough fireballs or whatever, he can always pay some gold and make up some scrolls to use in emergencies. Plus, it's a great gold sink.
I don't like the idea, actually. I don't like the sorcerer idea. Sorry. I just don't think it's right. I don't think it's balanced.
Yeah, will it wreck the game? Probably not at lower levels, but I think as you're starting to get mid and high, you're going to have some real problems.
I don't know. Is that all spells or just combat spells, or because he only lists kind of like a combat spells.
Well, I think his
I don't really know
idea
much
was
sorcerer.
Well, a sorcerer just can cast spells pretty much like a cleric can. They don't have to. Well, a cleric has to pray for them, but sorcerers never had to do anything.
Well, I think Andrew's point is most players are going to have their magic user characters only memorize obvious combat spells, magic missile, sleep, fireball, and they're less likely to spend their time on, say, friends or push or affect normal fires.
Comprehend languages, that sort of thing. Tongues. And, well, again, I think that really kind of, especially a cleric, because, they don't even get their spell until second level in most of the basic versions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I from a balance perspective, like I said, as it's getting mid to higher level, the magic user starts getting pretty umphy to begin with, and this will only make them more powerful. But as a personal thing, I don't like it.
No.
I think it would really, I think it would screw things up.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing a one shot.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Why don't we go on to our next email? Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, our next email is from Peter Spahn. Hello, Pete.
Pete.
Hello.
He says, it's always great to hear voices of the gaming past. I hope you do more interviews with former designers. Just FYI, I'd be happy to publish Mrs. Wells' adventure for Labyrinth Lord under my newly relaunched Small Niche Games imprint.
Oops.
I'm no layout guru, but if she has all the information and maps, I don't mind typing it up and putting it together for release as a free PDF. Pete.
Well, I'm sure she would appreciate that. I think Vince is already committed to getting it done, though, haven't you? With all the other stuff?
I'll contact Pete about this. I'd rather not talk about it on the air at this time.
Right. Okay.
But I think
anyway,
she'll appreciate the help, though.
Right. And as far as further gaming luminaries, we're certainly trying to. Right now, I guess we're trying to work things out schedule-wise with Mike Carr. And then after him, who knows?
Yeah, but we really enjoy doing the interviews, so as long as we can, we don't have any plans to stop.
Oh, no,
Yep.
no. As long as we can get them, we'll talk to them, definitely.
Absolutely.
And our final email.
Yay!
That's a lot of emails.
It is.
Not that we are complaining. We love that you guys love the show. Keep writing us.
Hey, we had to do a whole podcast dedicated to emails. That's how much we love the emails.
Exactly.
And this was nowhere near anybody's idea. We just came up with this randomly on the spot.
Yep.
So, our final email by Reese Laundry.
Is that like Reese Witherspoon? Oh, never mind.
Reese says, "Hey guys, another great episode, but this time I've got some quibbles.
Uh-oh.
They don't detract from a great podcast, but itched enough that I wanted to write.
We like that.
In Moldvay and Lablord, which clones Moldvay Cook, not Mincer, those variable weapons numbers are indeed the option, with everything using a D6 as the default. In play, you find it really levels the playing field and leaves weapon choice as a purely role-playing thing. Liberating, since there's no need for limiting your choices to the weapons that do the most damage. As for why you'd choose a polearm or something when they cost more but don't do more damage, well, for one, long weapons allow for attackers in the second rank to attack from behind the front line of fighters. You also mentioned, while discussing clubs, that edged weapons do half damage against skeletons. not in Classic. That's an AD&D rule. I hate to say it, but occasionally it becomes fairly apparent that you guys are more used to playing Advanced than Classic D&D. The Torch is also considered a club, just better because of the fire! I also wanted to chime in on the Rules Cyclopedia Dark Dungeons debate, if I may.
No.
The Rules Cyclopedia is nothing more than a compilation of Frank's box sets.
Wrong.
All 36 levels in one hardback book, albeit with some things left out and a few odd editorial changes or errors. If SOD supports the BECMI line, then by default you also support the RC. As for Dark Dungeons, it is an RC clone, mostly, so that fits as well as Labyrinth Lord or Swords and Wizardry do. I will agree that Castles and Crusades and Basic Fantasy are both a bit too updated with 3E-isms to qualify. Both are great games, but they do deviate a lot more than some other clones do. Keep up the great work. I've enjoyed every episode and look forward to many more. Your features, interviews, and discussions have been really fun to listen to. Happy gaming, Reese, a.k.a. Corin.
Well, thanks for that, Reese. If I may, I'll like to throw in a few comments here.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, as far as the variable weapon damage, I believe we said in that episode we were all going to go research it and do a DM Fiat on it, which we will be doing next episode. So that wasn't meant to be a complete and total amount of rules. Second, I don't think we've ever claimed to be the authority on any D&D rules, just enthusiastic.
No, I'm pretty sure I said myself in our first episode that while Holmes is my favorite form of playing D&D, most of my actual gaming experience, aside from the stuff that I ran for my friends when I first got the box, has been first edition because, quite frankly, it's a lot easier to find 1E games for old school playing than it has been for finding any type of basic stuff. So, by default, I've got more experience actually playing in 1E, not by choice, but because that's what I've been able to find.
Well, I would wager you would even say you wouldn't claim to be an expert on 1E.
No.
All right.
I totally make up my own rules for things.
Yeah. And there is actually a school of debate that the Advanced D&D Monster Manual is actually closer to OD&D's rules than what eventually became AD&D's rules. But, I'll give him that. And finally, just my opinions, I hope you guys will throw yours in as well, but just to finally get the debate about Rules Cyclopedia progressed, again, I would like to say we cover the Menser box sets. If everyone's correct and Rules Cyclopedia is just a reprint of the Menser box sets, then, as he said, by default, we cover the Menser box sets. Therefore, why is there a debate? We're covering it.
We're just not calling it Rules Cyclopedia.
And our motto at the front is, if it's in a box, we'll cover it.
As long
Rules
as it's classic.
Cyclopedia, nor Dark Dungeons, to my knowledge, is in a box. Yes, Labyrinth Lord is not in a box, but Moldvay Cook are in boxes. So, yes, it's an arbitrary rule, but we had to draw a line somewhere. Okay, that's me.
Anything else?
No, over to you guys, please. I'm off the soapbox now.
Liz, go ahead.
Well, I already pretty much said, I am certainly not a basic authority in any sense of the word. It's my favorite, but he's right. Most of my prior experience in actually playing, aside from the games that I first ran for my friends and my cousins, has been in first edition. I'd like to find more Holmes games out there. If I could, I would be there and playing them. And yeah, like you guys said, we're going to be covering the variable weapons rules in our next DM Fiat when we get back to our regular episodes. So we'll be talking more about that. I certainly do see points for each, using the variable weapons or doing the standard D6. Especially for a basic game, it's a lot easier if everything is the same amount of damage, and there's less to memorize, and as a new player, that is great. But I'll save that for our next episode. I think it's a great letter. I'm glad he wrote us, and I hope that we'll be able to keep giving out informative and entertaining podcasts.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to comment on the RC or Dark Dungeons because I've said my piece on it, and too bad, we're not covering it. Anyway, as far as skeletons, and he's saying that's not a classic rule, well, I don't remember the module, but I believe in one of the modules it says, as an optional rule, you could do this. So it was essentially part of the rules if you count modules as rule supplements, so.
Yeah.
So,
And,
you know what?
but
It's
I'll
not
give
just-
him that.
Yeah, it's not just... If you want to go clearly by the books, I mean, I don't have the Mulvey book in front of me or the Menser book in front of me, but I think there might be something in there that says blunt weapons do half blue full damage and edge weapons do half, but...
I do know it's not in Holmes. I
And it's
can't
not the
say for the
original
others.
It's not an original Brown book.
And even if it's not, who cares? I don't
Yeah,
care.
that's one of the reasons I prefer classic, actually, is, it's wilder, woollier, and off the cuff. And, not by the book. Well, so what? As long as you're having a good time, that's the important point. But, I am glad that he brought those up, because there are, there are some points to both arguments, so...
And, okay, I'm going to say... I don't like revised core rules because it throws all the rules all at once at you, and I like the Menser line because you can just pick and choose what you want when you want to use it, and you can go along with using the red book to the blue to whatever book you want. You don't have to include the other books. With revised core, you have to include everything.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it was either as a response to one of the posts or one of the episodes, or maybe over at the Dragon's Foot Save or Die forum. But I remember somebody saying that, the advantage of the box sets is you start off with these very basic rules, and every box you went up to, you were given the option to supplant those with more complex rules.
Right. That's
And
the
so you
reason.
had kind of a building block system,
And you can...
which I agree, I think is
Yeah.
a better one than having everything front-ended at you.
And all the rules jammed into one book with all its adjustments make it seem like it's not the Beckme Frank Menser line anymore. I don't know. It just seems different to me.
I suppose if you're looking for a reference book of everything in one central source, I can see the advantage in it to that, but
Yeah.
then quite as we've discussed before, didn't hardly ever get anybody up to companion, much less master and immortal, so
Bah.
it's how much do we really need?
Yeah,
I mean, other people do, sure, but
I have the box sets. I don't think I've ever used the master set ever, except for reading it in my home. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't want to companion. Maybe we touched upon certain things in that, but no, I never really used more beyond basic or expert. We did use Immortals because the great DM Joe used the Immortal box set.
but even that, as you said, was we are just playing Immortals. We're starting off with Immortals, right?
Yeah, and then he also made up another class of Godhood beyond Immortals, which I don't know. I asked Frank Menser if there ever was anything beyond Immortals in the ancient ones, and he said no. So this might have been something that Joe made up on his own. He made up some god race called the Mandarin, not the orange or the tangerine or whatever.
No, I
was
Chinese.
hoping.
You can keep hoping, Liz, but it's not that.
No, I know the reference. It's the guy from Iron Man who has the 10 rings, of course.
All right. I guess that's going to end up the emails today.
Yeah, let's stop now before this
Stop.
gets any worse.
Thanks for the email, Reese.
Yes, thank you. Please write again.
Okay, and if you have any questions, saveorddiepodcast@gmail.com, or visit our website, saveordie.info. And,
or our forums over at dragonsfoot.org.
Yes, that's right. dragonsfoot.org/forums, and go scroll to the bottom and you will see the Save or Die podcast forums. So I'm going to say this is Vince signing off for Liz and Mike and the crew, and we're going to be sodding off for this week.
Hooray!
The Save or Die podcast sodding off. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
If you have any comments, please email saveorddiepodcast@gmail.com or visit Save or Die at saveordie.info. Follow the cast on Facebook /Save or Die Podcast, or follow them on Twitter @TheEvilDM.